Today we're looking at the Eve Systems Room version 2. So this is the second generation of the Room product, and this is really intended to go in a, room and help you understand what's going on in that room, right? So it's a sensor product, and Eve has done this. They've really committed to this new chrome and steel look, the black chrome steel, and I think it looks really great. This is a sensor that does volatile organic compounds, temperature, humidity, and that's pretty much that's what the old one did as well. So what are the big differences? Well, the first huge difference is the e-ink display. The previous version didn't have any display at all, right? So this has a, just like the Eve Degree, which I'll put a link to up above. This has an e-ink display, and you can kind of scroll through it and you can get immediate feedback on what's going on in the room without having to go and check your phone, for instance. One of the other big deals here is it has got a rechargeable battery, right? Micro USB powered. So this thing will, according to the specs, run for about four to 6 weeks. 6 weeks is what they say. And you're going to be able to do that without changing batteries, as opposed to the 3 AAAs that the previous generation took. So let's get this unboxed and take a look. So you can see here right on the box, works with Apple Homekit. So that's one thing you do need to know about the Eve systems is they have gone all in with HomeKit, right? Which I think is great for the ecosystem in general and is probably going to be good for Eve's business. For those of you who didn't see this last year, Eve, or Elgato Eve as it used to be known, actually split up into a couple different companies. And the Eve portion of it is really focusing in on the Apple HomeKit ecosystem and on making sure that that we have all the products and accessories we need to really make our houses a lot smarter. Right, so the Eve Room here, again, this is a second generation of the product. So they've got a lot of, they understand already what customers were looking for. They understand how these things were going to operate in the real world. I've had the Eve Room. I've had a couple of them in my house for at least a couple of years, and they are really a great product from a sensor standpoint, right? So one thing that we will get into a little bit later is the first version of this product was taking a measurement every 10 minutes. So I don't know for sure because I've never tested this out, but I think that if it was only reporting every 10 minutes, then your automations would only be happening every 10 minutes. So that's one thing that I found out about the second generation is they're by default taking measurements every 10 minutes, but if they see something off within that 10-minute time frame, they actually report it quicker. So we'll take a look at that as well. So getting back to the actual unboxing here, you can see here this is a smaller device. It is a kind of a square shape, rounded edges, that chrome and that black, and it is an e-ink display. So this is not going to draw a lot of power, which is how they're able to run it for that 6-week time frame on the existing internal battery. So as we get this plugged in here, you can see that it's starting to light up, and you can see that it's already starting to track humidity and temperature. Not air quality yet, because that's going to have to come with time a little bit. But you can see this is a really easy to see, very high contrast display, and it's easy to tell what's going on. You've got the 5 stars there for the air quality, you've got temperature, you've got the humidity, you've got the battery range. And over on the right-hand side here, you can see, or left-hand side, those arrows that allow you to scroll through the different interfaces to allow it to show whatever's most important to you. So the one thing I did want to show you guys was the difference in the size between the Eve first generation and the second generation. So you can see there's quite a big difference here. So if you're looking for a reason to upgrade beyond the fact that the new Eve Gen 2 looks really great, look at the size of it, right? It is a lot thinner, it is a lot smaller. I'm really digging this new device. Let's take a look at the setup. So for those of you who haven't seen the Eve app before, you should go and download it. It is free and it works with all the HomeKit accessories. You can see that Eve's focus on Apple HomeKit really has helped them in their app itself. This is by far one of the best applications that are free for HomeKit, and they've really filled the gap that Apple didn't fill when they released their own home app, right? So Eve is able to do things, automations on air quality, the things that you can't do in the native Apple Home app. There's a very good chance you can do it within the Eve app. This new product as well, the Eve Room, uses the new QR code technology, and the setup is Really, really, really simple. This is a BLE device, so we don't even have to push over our Wi-Fi. The only thing we do need to be aware of is to make sure that we're within Wi-Fi distance. So if you guys didn't see the home scan review, definitely check that out. I'll put a link to that up above. So as Eve has taken over that kind of setup and done some additions here, so you can see, okay, you can choose the room first, right? A little different than the typical Apple setup. And then you've got all three of them here that you can add and change at once. Of course, it's the same physical device, so we're not going to be able to change the room and put different sensors in different rooms. That's just not physically possible, right? But what we can do is we can go in and change the names of these sensors in each of the rooms, which makes it pretty easy for us to be able to identify them, right? We don't have to go through like the typical Apple setup. I like this. I find it more efficient. AQI, there we go. Click on next. We're all done. We're adding 3 accessories, right? So please place it upright. Air quality measurements will be available once the battery is fully charged, and calibration takes about a day. After half a day, expose Eve room to clean air for a few minutes. That is important so that this sensor, the air quality sensor in it, will be able to tell the difference between what is good air and what is not good air. So you want to calibrate that to probably some fresh air. Just open your window, put it on the window ledge, that kind of a thing. So one of the last things I wanted to take you guys through is the tour of what you actually get as far as historical data, right? So you can see here going to the Eve room, you see the air quality, you've got day, hour, week, potentially, if you've had it more than a week. Mine's about a week, so obviously I don't really have a month, and I definitely don't have a year. But you can see that you get all that data there. You get these linear points, and you get a graph, and it kind of lets you start to know how things are going in your house. The other thing you can do is you can get in and look at the measurements themselves. And one thing that's interesting here that I mentioned is the Eve Gen 1, the Eve Room Gen 1, took exactly 10 measurements every minute. So you had 144 measurements. Whereas if you look at, on this particular day, there was like 180 measurements. And that's because the device itself will trigger, if there's a change that goes beyond the air quality, changes into a different star kind of a thing, different rating, it will go through and will actually do an off-cycle update, if you will. So it will inform HomeKit and allow things, hey, last measurement was 5 minutes ago, but something now changed in the room. I need to let HomeKit know what's going on. So that's kind of cool. You can also take those and as you kind of saw on the screen there, you can actually forward those out. So if you want to get access to the data, do any data analytics, data analysis, all of that is possible as well. The one thing I would have liked to have seen, which they don't do, is there's no way to get all the data out at the same time. So for instance, if I want the air quality data, I'm going to have to go into the measurements on air quality and hit the little button and then forward that off. And if I want the temperature or humidity data, I'm going to have to do the same thing. So I'm going to have to go in there and hit the measurement button, and then now I get an Excel, or more accurately a CSV file with all the data points of the temperature with the time code that it was taken at. So it's good that we have this stuff, but I wish I could have gotten all 3 out at the same time. So that's something I hope that that Eve will put in the app. So basically that's it. You can trigger HomeKit actions based on air quality, temperature, humidity. You can build those out within the Eve app, so all that's good. What do you guys think? Is this something you would add to your house? Do you like the aesthetic? I'm a big fan. I will, no apologies necessary if you're not. I just like to hear what you think. Likes, subscribe if you haven't, share if you wanted to, let your friends know. All right, I always appreciate that. And if you want to learn how to make your house a little bit smarter, use an Apple HomeKit, please check out the video details. There's a link to my Udemy course.